Okay, so welcome back to this course. So now in this video, let's protect our backend API routes from unauthenticated users. Okay, so for that I simply go to my backend in the middlewares. I get a new middleware that is called auth.js. Okay, so you can also use this middleware if you want, but I will get a separate for the backend. So I call it cons is authenticated user. That is going to be async, in which you have access to the request, then the response, and then the next. Okay, so now we know that we can get the current user from our session. So I type here const session is going to be await get session, and we have to import that from Next Auth / react. Now in the get session we have to pass in here the params. In that we have to simply pass this request. Okay, so it will automatically get the cookies and the token from the request and validate the user. So we check that if not session, this means that user is not logged in. So I will simply return from here next. In that I will pass in here my new error handler that I have created in my previous video. So I will pass in here the message that is login first to access this page or this route. Okay, and then the endpoint, status code is going to be 401 unauthenticated. And if the user exists, then we have to simply set here request.user, which is going to be session.user. Okay, so we will get the user from this session and store that in the request.user, so we can access request.user.id.user.name in the endpoints. Then I will call here the next to move on toward the next middleware. So this is our is authenticated user that we have to use. Okay, to protect my endpoints. So I will also export here. So export, that is going to be is authenticated user, save it. Now we have to use that on our endpoints. To use that I simply go to my pages. For example, I have to protect this address routes, because only authenticated users can access this address. Okay, so what I will do here is I will simply have to import that first of all, and to use that I will simply use here dot use. Okay, now with this use we can use any middleware here. Okay, so I will use here is authenticated user. Okay, so it will authenticate the user before going toward the get addresses. Simply save it. And now to test that, if I go back to the postman, I copy this from here and I put that here. That is going to be /API/address. If I click here send, so next is not a function. Okay, you have to remove this curly brackets from here. I will remove that, simply save it. And now if I go back and click on send, you can see that here we get a message that login first to access this route. Okay, and also I will type here import here the error handler from, I will change the syntax like this. Okay, and I will type here from, so I will use here the import like this. Simply save it. And also we have to use here the on error. So on error, and we can get that from our auth register. So I will use that on all endpoints. So I will use that right here like this. Simply save it. Now if I go back, click on send, now we have the message in our own form. So message login first to access this route, and this is 401 status code. Okay, and also I will actually use that here. Also I will use that here. Okay, so I will use this on next connect, save it, and also I will use that here like this. Okay, so make sure that you use this error middleware on all endpoints. So now our is authenticated middleware is working properly right here. Okay, so now this get addresses is also protected route, and also this is the protected route. Simply save it. And I think so these both are protected route. We don't have to protect this and this, and yes. Okay, so I close this from here. Now these routes are protected. If I close this from here, and now if I go to my front end, I have an issue here that if I log in, okay, I type here my email, click on login. So now if I go to this, you can see that we get here 401 request error because now the addresses route is protected. You can see that here Axios error 401 for that route. So this means that now we have to actually pass the cookie or the token with the request. If I go here in the me/page, here we are simply using Axios to send the request to get the addresses from the backend, but we know that this is a protected route, so now we have to pass the cookies. Okay, so if I go back just to show you how we can access the cookies and where they are stored, if I go to the application and in the cookies, you can see that here we have our cookies here. If I expand that, so the cookie that we need here is this next auth dot session dash token. So this is the token that we need to pass to our backend in order to you can say that validate the request. Okay, so you have to pass this cookie that contains this token to our backend endpoint, and with this token it will validate the request. And how we can get the cookies? With the Next.js 13 we can use the function that is called cookies. Let me show you. I can import that here. So import the cookies from next/headers. Okay, so now we can use this cookies to get my cookies. So I will type here const next cookies, that is going to be cookies. Okay, and now I will have to get here next auth session token. So I will use here next cookies dot get. Now in the get I have to pass in here the name of the cookie that I want to get. Okay, so name of the cookie is going to be let me check that first. So application, then I have to use this cookie. So I copy that name from here and I will use that right here like this. Okay, so it will get that cookie. And let me actually show you first of all here the next auth session token. Save it, and now if I go back and simply reload this page, and if I go back to my terminal, I hope that we get here that token. Let me also type in here this, save it. Now if I reload this page, go back to VS Code, I search that here. So you can see that here we get here the object that contains this value. So this value is the token. Now we just have to pass this value, which is also a token, to the backend. Okay, so what I do is I will remove this line from here. Now we have this token here. So now I will set in here the headers. Okay, so headers, oops, in the headers I will set my cookie. So cookie, and the cookie is going to be this. Okay, this cookie, and the value is going to be this dot value. Okay, so it will set the cookie in the header, and now we can process that request, and that is actually this dot value. Save it, and now if I go back and reload this page, you can see that now I can access here all the addresses, because now the request is validated, user is now authenticated, we have passed in here the cookie and the session token. So in this way we can actually protect the backend endpoints, and this way we can send the request from the front end with the token to process the authenticated request. Okay, I hope that you understand. Simply save this from here, and now if I create one more address here, okay, just to show you here, click here add. You can see that I can add the address also here. Okay, so this means that we have successfully protected our backend endpoints. Okay, we are getting the proper error message if the user is not logged in, or user don't have passed that token. And once user pass the token in the cookie, in the headers, we have access to that protected route. Okay, but that's it on this video. I hope that you understand. In my next video I will work on the update the address and delete the address. Okay, so I will see you in the next lecture.